evening. I got to looking over my old videos and I realized I never did that video of the work I did to repair the door of the old Waterbury clock and the gingerbread clock. And after doing the one I just did about, keeping such perfect time and everything, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and finally get this one out, kind of put them back to back, and hope you enjoy this one too. I just now bought this Waterbury clock, gingerbread clock, for $75. It was at $95, but the daughter of the man who owns it, and it was in the antique mall, immediately lowered it down to $75. And I brought it home, put the pendulum on it, kind of got it situated so it's in a good place, and just started the pendulum. And it ain't perfect, but I'll tell you right now, it's running. There's power in that mainspring, and without doing a thing to it, it's up and running. So, this is a good purchase for $75. I can turn this around and do quite a bit of work on it, I'm sure. Probably several bushings and so forth. And then turn around and sell it. And I really like that. This is a first gingerbread, especially gingerbread with the what do they call it? Reverse stenciling on the back of the glass like that. Very, very nice. Very pretty. And I'm looking forward to putting this sweet old girl in shape. Very, very dusty. It's been up on top of a cabinet in the antique mall for about 2 years, doing nothing. And I think the pendulum's stopping, and that's fine. I mean, if it wants to stop, that's the way it is. Who knows how I'm going to do some research on how old this is. Obviously, I did as much as I expected to, and that's just, put the pendulum on, set it swinging, and sure enough, it's going. So last night I glued up the frame of this Waterbury clock, my gingerbread. This was I was working on it, trying to clean the outside of the glass. You're looking at the backside, obviously, from the hinges here. But anyway, when I was trying to clean it, the frame literally fell to pieces in two pieces, with this piece and then this piece separately. And the glass fell out. It didn't break. I'm so grateful. You can't replace one of these. So anyway, I was able to go ahead and very carefully glue these corners, which are kind of, it's crazy the system that they have, but it's a mortise and tenon type of thing. And by stages, I glued this frame all back together. And I also, while I had the glass out, cleaned it thoroughly. I used just one little piece of steel wool and some mineral spirits to go all around the edges on the outside. I did not do that on the inside. On the inside, I just took some Windex and carefully worked around the stencil here, and that's a gold paint. I guess it has to be. And anyway, just very, very carefully worked all the way around it. And it's done, and I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the clamps. I think we're good. It's been glued overnight, and this glue is supposed to set and be good to go in 20 minutes. So, all right, I'll show you when we're all done. Okay, so it's all out. Everything is clamped up very nicely and glued up. The thing that's kind of interesting about it is this was done in about 1911. And that being said, all these corners, everything was glued with hide glue. And by the way, that's very, very old method. I mean, Stradivari was using hide glue for his violins back in the late 1600s, early 1700s. I'm not surprised. Hide glue is cheap, and it was something that could easily be administered when you're putting a frame together. I put it together with something a bit stronger. I used some tight bond. And anyway, it won't come apart, and we're good to go. Okay, so the door to the clock was held on by these tiny, tiny screws. Now, the screws going into the actual clock face or the clock housing are longer, but these tiny screws are what hold the hinge on. And the hole to where one of the screws goes in was very much stripped. And so what I've done, I've gone ahead and carved a little plug, cleaned the hole out, blew it out so there's hopefully no more rust in there, and glued that into place. And now what I'm doing is cutting that off flush. I've got a very sharp knife. I'm going to be cutting that off flush and then re-drilling that hole so that when that baby screw goes in there, it's going to hold, unlike what it was doing before, because you really need all four of your screws to hold pretty tight so that the the doors, it opens and shuts many times over the years. It has a nice firm hinge system on it. And up here, these are this one is very solid. All the screws on that are just in there very tightly. You can see that they kind of in at an awkward angle, but they are in tight. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting this off, and then I'll re-drill that hole and get this little tiny screw back home where it belongs. So that's the next little project. So I've done a fairly decent job of flattening this part of the hinge by using my little anvil. I bought this for the sake of doing all my clockwork. I'll explain it another time. Most of you guys know what that's all about anyway. But I tell you what, it's very handy to have that nice solid hunk of steel. And you can see it's not perfect, but for the most part, there's no curve left to it. It's nice and flat, and I've got most of the dimple out of that. So when the screws go back, they should go back nice and tight. So anyway, all right, that's one little job done. I'm going to continue cleaning that up, probably lubricate these just a little bit, and put them back. Well, guys, I hate to say it, but after all the work I did to plug those holes and make new screw holes for those tiny screws, all four of these on the actual clock case are going to have to be done too. They're just too stripped out. So I'm going to have to take and just back up, take the door off, and just redo every one of these holes. Just plug every one and reset them. And these are much longer screws, which means I've got to be more careful in terms of drilling down in there. I can't just use a needle. I'm going to have to get some depth to it. So, okay, well, there it is. But I'm not going to do it tonight. Well, I've carved four little plugs, screw plugs, to go into the holes, and we'll get these glued up and let it sit overnight. Tomorrow morning we'll cut them off and hopefully get all four of these larger screws, here they are, larger screws put back in. I'm going to clean them up a little bit. They're a little bit rusty looking. So anyway, right now I'm going to clean out the hole with that 1/4 inch drill bit. Clean out each one of these holes a little bit and blow them out, just to get the dust up out of there. And then when everything glues up, it'll be nice and clean. Fresh hole for the glue to take hold. So the upshot of it is that you see in the very first photograph I'm going to put on here right after this little video, that the picture of the clock sitting there on the edge of the driveway, it's the door. No, actually, it's from the night that I got it. The door is sagging, and this corner is down, and this, you can tell this is not even across the top here. So that it just shows how badly the frame was just already sagging. It was poorly. The glue had let go in the corners, and it was in tough shape. So anyway, that all got done. That I ended up re-gluing everything. But also, here, let me just open this. This was also very, very unstable as far as the mounting of the screws is concerned. That's why I ended up having to replace virtually all of the screws, and the hinges had to come completely off. All the screws had to be, the holes were plugged, just like the plugs that you saw in the video earlier. And from that, I went ahead and cut them off right at the level that they had to be, and just re-drilled each one of the screw holes, except for on the door. I was able to take a heavy needle and push it down and right in the very center of this, where the screw is going to be going in, and wiggle it around a little bit, so I had opening enough to be able to get a good bite with the screw as it went down in. Also, what I don't show in there is these, one of these particularly, one of the hinges was badly warped from having been pulled on several times, and it was, anyway, and that's why I ended up having to use that little anvil to flatten it and get it nice and even like the other one. So anyway, well, it all got done, and now this door is very stable, good and solid, and yeah, it really works very well. And like I said, the only thing I've got left to do now is when I have the chance, I'm going to do a little bit more cleaning, particularly down here on the base. All of this can be cleaned too, but this base has gotten really dirty over the years, so, because it's the place that catches the dust the most, the dust and the dirt over the years. So I'm going to be doing that, and then this old girl is in great shape. I probably will keep it for a while, but ultimately I'm going to end up selling it, because I'm inheriting, my dad just died, and Mom wants me to take their old clock, which is a marvelous old, it's not gingerbread, it's a very early clock. It may be from the late 1800s, I can't remember, but when I get it, I'll go ahead and do a whole video on that too. It's a wonderful old clock, and they've maintained it over the years. There was a local clocksmith down there on Cape Cod, and they've got it to him every time it needed some work, and had it maintained. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to getting that. Mom's already said she wants me to take it now that Dad's gone. So all right, well, thank you for stopping by another episode of oh my goodness, it's early. I just got up. It's 5 o'clock. Another episode of Old Timers. So hey, I've enjoyed doing this. This old clock deserves an episode all to herself, and hope you've enjoyed this. Take care.